one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Welcome to a very special EPC edition of the Program Guys podcast. I am Mark Hall, joined today by Matt Gann. This might be the most special EPC occasion we've had yet. The Oklahoma Sooners defeated the Texas Longhorns in softball 8-4 last night, completing a sweep in the Women's College World Series and completing the four-peat. Actually pulling off the four-peat. The senior class for the Oklahoma Sooners have only ever known championships at the end of their season. They have never seen their season end in a loss. Matt Gann.
Incredible.
Matt Gann, how we feeling? Before we get too deep, how are we feeling?
I'm still shell-shocked.
Yes.
I knew about this team, how good they were, the adversity that they had this year. Everyone was calling that this was a down year. The last two regular seasons series, they lose to Oklahoma State. They lose to Texas. They come back and beat Texas in the Big 12, and everyone's dogging these girls not to win again. And they proved everyone wrong like they have been doing the last 4 years. We're not talking about 4 championships in standalone years. We're talking 4 years in a row. That is rarefied air with a lot of other programs who have gone on pretty consecutive streaks. But for 4 straight softball champions, that's why they call her Natty Patty, baby. Don't ever turn your back on these girls. Incredible.
And I love that it's Texas.
They
gave us
come on.
Such trouble throughout the season. They take the 1 seed, and Patty Gasso just keeps the train on the tracks, man. It doesn't matter. We're always fighting uphill.
Absolutely, she is. And to recap the champ series, OU wins both games. Game 1, 8-3, 8-4 to your point. The first game was what they've been doing all season long, was the long ball. They had 3 home runs in that game that really propelled them behind the arm of Kelly Maxwell, who we're going to get to in just a moment, who played an outstanding World Series, but also game 1 of the World Champion Final, which is what she wanted. That's what we brought her in for. And played an outstanding game 1, propelling the Sooners to that game 1 victory. 78% of people who win game 1 go on to win the World Champ Series. Fast forward to last night, Oklahoma getting punched in the mouth again, like they have done a lot during the season, playing a Texas team who you knew was going to come out and play desperate and play their best ball that they could with their backs against the wall. But clutch hits by the freshmen. I mean, we talk about all this senior class. What about Ellie Parker and Cassidy Pickering, who had major? I mean, Pickering had 2 home runs in that World Champ Series, and then Ellie Parker had some clutch hits. The bottom of the order last night, it was really 7, 8, 9 Boone, and those girls down there ended up having some very clutch hits. Sid Sanders as well. That really helped propel more of a small ball game. Mark, what are your thoughts looking back at the champ series? What were you most impressed about this Sooners team?
I mean, Kelly Maxwell is the obvious one.
Obvious,
right?
Yeah.
It's just an absolute machine game 1, and then coming in to finish it off game 2 as well, and looking every bit like she could keep going after that as well. She is an arm that doesn't quit, and then past just Maxwell, it's the entire pitching staff yesterday. You know, you just you go arm in, arm out, arm in, arm out, and that rotation can go 5 deep. That's the fact that Patty can bring everyone on board to play that way and use it to secure a victory on the defensive side of the ball, I guess is how I'd say it, is remarkable. It's really remarkable stuff. I thought Nicole May pitched very well, leading into sort of setting up the Kelly Maxwell close. And
you couldn't have scripted it any better.
And when you get to that point, it's not that we're counting our eggs before they hatch or anything, but after the commanding lead you've taken, you get to the last inning and 1 out with Kelly Maxwell, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm good.
Game over.
I'm good.
You knew right when Kelly was coming in That was game. It's actually the first time in the Champ Series where a team used 5 pitchers or more. And that's what Patty wanted to see. It actually probably worked out better than her ideal scenario, bringing all different pitchers. I mean, you talk about bringing in Peyton Monticelli while the bases are juiced for Texas. You just need one out. She hasn't pitched for a couple of months, whatever it was. She comes in, gets the out that's needed to keep Texas from, continuing to score potentially more throughout that game. So incredible to see that Patty just has such an abundance of riches of talent, not even just pitchers. Let's talk about,
and confidence in those players.
Confidence,
too.
very true.
That's the thing is she's not throwing her out there if she doesn't believe she can get it done. You and I went to an OU baseball game early in the season, and they threw a freshman out there who clearly did not have it, but he just wanted to see what he had. Now, obviously, these are two different scenarios. It's early regular season and the end of the postseason, but it shows how much Patty believes in her players to say, hey, you haven't played. Go back out there. You got this.
Yeah. Incredible. And there's 2 more things I want to talk about for the Champ Series. I think an underrated MVP was Avery Hodges, who came in for Torres, Torres took a shot to the face after the sun was in her way on a infield ball that hit her right in the sunglasses, and she ended up going out. And then you bring in your backup second baseman who didn't even flinch and was making incredible plays. Now, she had a couple of mistakes there last night, but I want to get your thoughts on this one play. I think was really the turning point is when Texas was getting it going late in, I believe in the 6th, Mia Scott goes up there, hits a ground ball. Avery can't ground it up. She ends up running past the first baseman, or first base line, getting closer to second base where she is in play. Kelly, Avery, and Sid Sanders make a good play to get her out. What a disastrous play, though. Mark, what were you thinking when that happened?
One of those things you truly don't believe would happen at this high of a level of competition until you see it. It is nuts that we were able to just steal an out that way. That's
closed the inning too.
Closed
the inning.
That was the inning. That closed it out. I had to go back. I had to wait for a replay because I didn't see it in real time. I looked away assuming, okay, she's on first. Like, she's good.
Yeah, and they scored, and they were potentially going to score more.
Right. They're in scoring position. They're ready to go. The nuts mistake. You almost feel bad for the girl for making a mistake like that. Yeah.
I don't like Texas, but that's really hard to see because obviously she had not been playing very well, and she was one of her top hitters. I mean, she was just not playing well in the Champ Series, and then to have that kind of egregious mistake that late in the ball game, that's really tough.
That crucial of a moment, you need those runs. You need
absolutely. So OU goes on with their 4th consecutive four-peat when it comes to OU softball. That actually now ties Natty Patty with 8 championships with Arizona's Mike Kadira, who had a dominant run back in the 90s with Arizona. The legacy just continues. Where is the statue? If they don't have a statue out there in the summer for Patty, I just don't know what else you do. What else does she need to do? She need to get 9 to break the all-time record. She's actively 3rd in wins. I mean, what do we got to do? But I think impressive all around. This was a very team win for the 2 games, all through the lineups, the pitching staff, as well as the coaching adjustments. It was incredible to see on the way to this four-peat. So now we have to conclude this senior class, which has to be, I mean, I can't think of another senior class in any sport that was this dominant for this amount of time. I mean, I'm just going to read you some stats, Mark. Watch your eyeballs because mine were bulging at this. I can't believe some of the just ridiculousness.
I expect to be bulging too.
I know you would. So let me go over this first of how dominant this class was. They played over 250 games during this time frame. They were 235-15. 15 losses in 4 years. Of those wins, half of them were shutouts, and 56% of those wins were done via run rule. They ended up 41-4 in the NCAA tournament. They never lost back-to-back World Series games. Let me pause there, Mark. I had to let that sink in. That
Yeah,
is absolutely stupid.
I'm doing math over here on some of the numbers you said there. So 235 of 250, going 235 and 15 is a 94% win percentage.
Highest in D1 history for a
That
senior
is
class.
it's not even realistic in competitive sports. It goes beyond dynasties that we've seen. Unless you want to look at like track, not even track and field. Yeah, like maybe Usain Bolt stuff. You
Sure.
know, maybe that's where you have to look to see the kind of dominance that we're seeing because what you said with 41 and 4 in the
In the
NCAA tournament,
tournament.
that's 91%. They win 91% of their NCAA tournament games over the last 4 years. That's insane.
It's mind-boggling. So this team during the 4 years never was shut out. They always had a run in each of those games. They never were run ruled. And and this is concluding last night, when they were ahead by 4+ runs, they were 201-0 when they were up 4+ runs. I think that tells you the dominance of the pitching, the defense, but the fact that you can put up 4+ runs, this team was averaging over the last 4 years 8+ runs a game, only giving up a little over 1.5 runs.
About to say, yeah, that that means they led by 4 runs in 86% of their wins. 80% of their total games, they're up 4 runs at some point and they just hold it out. It's something different, man. Bama's not this. Georgia's not this in football. You look at basketball, Duke never had a run like this. Carolina hasn't had a run like this. Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt. Who else is there? Tiger
Michael
Woods.
Phelps with all those gold medals. I mean, I don't know what else to
Yeah.
compare it to. It's really hard to compare anything because this is so unique.
You can't overstate it.
You can't.
You can't possibly exaggerate it past what it is.
Yeah, because a lot of what people were comparing to was the three-peat that UCLA had back in the late 80s, but it was a totally different ball game. Softball was just like every other sport. It's going to adapt, it's going to evolve. People get stronger, faster, taller, whatever it might be. But when you compare it to that dynasty UCLA had during that time frame, that three-peat, they had 25 home runs. Do you want to even guess what OU had during that 3 year? This is not even including, I don't believe the last year, maybe the last World Series, but just that run. OU had 430 plus home runs.
Right.
And again, different generations, different eras, but
different ball
that
game.
is mind-boggling. How many
but
home
let's
runs?
put
Over
our 9
100
against
plus.
those 9, right? And
Sure.
see who's playing better.
Sure. It's incredible what these senior classes done. These girls, especially in the era of transfer portal, especially Nicole May, I think she's the epitome of staying put, earning her keep, even with these transfers, Kelly Maxwell, being behind some great pitchers, Juarez. I mean, there's a lot of talent that comes in, year out, and she decided to stay, and she ends up coming in clutch in game 2, getting some much needed outs.
Sticks around, is that consummate professional senior, and then has the maturity to hand the ball over at the end of the game, knowing that someone else is going to get to close it out. A transfer from Oklahoma State is going to be the teammate that gets to close it out. Just something poetic about having a leader like that on your team.
Yeah. And the 5 core of seniors, that's going to be Kinsey Hansen, Tiara Jennings, Jada Coleman, Riley Boone, and Nicole May. I mean, what a class. They end up staying together the entire time. Kinsey Hansen might go down as the best Oklahoma catcher. I mean, her stats are unreal individually. Tiara, one of the best hitters, right there with Jocelyn Allo, who might be one of the best hitters of all time in softball, if not. And Tiara Jennings, right there behind her. Jada Coleman always being that chaos starter, her and Boone. I mean, these players, and obviously Air Jada out there in the outfield, incredible core of seniors. You couldn't ask for more to end without losing any time during that 4-year span, always ending on a championship run. I saw Patty talk a little bit about how much she loved this team, the adversity that they faced with all the pressure that they had going this year, the losses they faced to end up continuing to come on top. I mean, what a story. What more? It doesn't even seem real still when I'm looking at Twitter and everything else.
Well, and Patty said something, mid-season, I guess not mid-season, but later in the season about how this team doesn't have it yet. This team's not ready yet. They're not there. And to see the consistency come through, like we had discussed, we talked about, you'd rather be OU than anyone else. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the talent, we've got everything that you want. And it just wasn't there yet. All the pieces weren't in place. And gosh darn, they really got put in place pretty fast. It came together when it had to, the way I think we kind of hoped, but weren't sure it really would.
Yeah. Again, I'm still sitting here just looking at these stats, looking at Twitter, the four-peat. It just I saw that they updated the bio on the OU softball.
They'll be
It's
painting the sign today.
They will. An incredible run. If you've been an OU softball fan, I mean, it's just been, and now it's been 7 out of the last 11 years, let alone the four consecutive.
Yep.
7 out of the last 11 years. That is a true dynasty. Incredible stuff. And I also read a report that Kinsey, Tiara Jennings, and Carly Keeney, who started last night's game, will be coming back as graduate assistant coaches. So very good for them. Mark, I want to come to you. It's always a bittersweet feeling beating Texas as we head out. Who is your MVP of either the tournament or even just the champ series? Who do you got?
So I'm going to go with the senior 5 that you discussed. I draw a lot of parallels with that defensive group of seniors on the football side of things that we're hoping can show out this season and sort of be the bridge to the next generation at the same time. Obviously, Jada Coleman, Kenzie Hansen, Riley Boone, these women have accomplished a ton more than the guys on the football side have. But you look at the kind of impact that players like that can have on the younger generations, and then freshmen aren't afraid. Ella Parker's not afraid because she practices with Kenzie Hansen every single day and has watched Jada Coleman take batting practice every single day and knows what it looks like to be great.
And Brito and on and on. I mean,
on and on. Yeah. So I'm going to go with that 5 for truly being from start to finish a group of champions and just showing the rest of the team all 4 years what it looks like.
Yeah, I'll talk about Kelly Maxwell because she has to be mentioned in this conversation. She was the tournament's most outstanding player. She was 5-0 in her starts, 1.88 ERA, 45 strikeouts, and 2 saves. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better script to make the decision to jump from your in-state rival from Oklahoma State. All the criticism and the media coverage, hating on her for making that move. And then she comes up and stamps it out and has a tremendous tournament. Well-deserved for her. I'm also going to give it to the freshmen because I think without the freshmen coming up in clutch moments, Ellie Parker and Cassidy Pickering, they came up with huge hits, huge home runs, where the team needed a little bit of a spark, where some of the older girls, even Tiare was 0-4 last night in game 2, but it was because of those freshmen who made the right hits at the right time that propelled this team to their 4th consecutive. So I'm going to give it to the freshmen and Kelly Maxwell. You just can't leave her out of this conversation. What a dominant run. We might not ever see this again, so please enjoy it if you're an OU fan. I still today, day after, day removed, still can't believe 4 years in a row.
It seems impossible that we're witnessing this, and it seems even more impossible that something like this could be built in the future, because Patty Gasso started this whole campaign, this whole franchise that she has built here well before the transfer portal and NIL sort of changed the landscape. And now Oklahoma's a destination, the destination, truly. And the The roster's tight. Only the best of the best come through. It is a real great way to reload. In addition to what 5 of the top 100 softball players in the world or in the country are
6 out of the top 11.
6 out of the top 11. How about that? I
Close.
was adding a freaking 0
Yeah.
to the end of it. It's nuts, man. The reload is going to be just as strong.
Yeah.
So
The broadcaster brought this up. Quick thought, and we can get out of here. Do you think Patty rides out in the sunset, or do you think she goes?
I don't think
for 9?
she's done. I don't think she's done. I
don't
don't.
think so
I don't
either.
get that sense from the way she talks about it, from the way her players talk about her. People aren't crying, hugging her in that kind of way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think she's going for 9. I think she's going for more. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Why
wouldn't
you have this?
You have everything you want.
Yeah, I would think. And that'll do it for us. This has been a special EPC edition celebrating the four-peat for the Oklahoma Sooners. That's 24, 23, 22, 21. My goodness. That is greatness. Thank you for joining us today. If you stuck around this whole time, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Follow us on all of our platforms. That's going to be at Program Guyz with a Z. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on all of your podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. Hopefully you're watching us there. You're liked and subscribed there. That's going to do it. Matt Gann, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
Nice.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.